Mr. Speaker, menyo SSNto.
Me call Drew Hono. No more say mintitri and now mukasa mintia say almost see who haruna.
Mikrom ahafwano southwest for yanso yebeka bra yebedru abobia yebewram ewo wiase afane nyina onyame onhyiraye
mbo nsoro zan wa be farafara mbo kaikwe no fuduma zan wa be farafara mbo fafaduma zan wa be farafara.
Ebola body I carry, AIDS body I carry. Look at my pay.
Oh la la! Ebusian form what to say minimum de share Mosbee TV GH platform is so. Na say me too kwan kakra free oman mu edemani kire ohiam panika. Makwasa amba. Medemani a che parliament na ebusian parliament ayede o. Mrahye bedwafia ayede papa. Mokai honorable Ohene Kwame Frimpong.
And bring my contribution in the local language tree.
Order 63. Are you going to do the interpretation in English?
Yes, I can do that. Yeah.
If you can do that, but why do you want to do it in tree?
My constituents have told me severally that they want to hear or understand most of what we speak about in Parliament in the local language. So, if I can indulge you on that, I would really appreciate it.
Is that so?
Yes, please. Right, Mr. Speaker, Didi Canada, Yuniaba, Aye, Felicia, Ajay, Sir, Ode, and some, here we are today.
Bra beto about 2024. Nkrofo bi de babonten se Ohene Kwame Frimpong ntumi ntwerompo no abekan. Owini ya okom la hye bedwafie no okoka atwi. Ebeye nsem bebre. Sisi ame no ka say parliament ayede. Obi a kire ne bobre. Obi a kire ni krom kasa ewo mlahye bedwafie ho mani age na sisi ade metumi akase Ohene Kwame Frimpong o ye hero wa set record ani din tumi mpepa da se nsema metete se anhwe yi a emre beba na region bia a kire ne kasa ewo schools mu no se bibi se tumi koso a na chese ye Ohene Kwame Frimpong ena etumi abie kwan na ato ho ena sese niama etumi fulo na yenkohwe de koso e parliament efe ni oka mfante ka ni oka srem kasa eka na edezo yenhwemle sisi a
me call Drew Hono. No more say mintitri and now mukasa mintia say almost see who haruna. Obetime owrem ha. Munkotia muntua ye. Na haruna obetime owrem ayaresabia. See government. Ebola body I carry, AIDS body I carry. Look at my pay.
Mr. Speaker, menyo SSNto true. Nukejo. Mr. Speaker, nukejo. Na Ghana devio employment na sack nukejo. True. Mr. Speaker, true. Mr. Speaker.
Now you something. Don't travel Tawani and the Kuwada Jitishaman.
Ne so akati propose ka beleche kategori dagman lichi.
Den e kosui aden obi enye djuma mo pamo mo true. Mr. Speaker, menyo me the kuku na government employ the people back. Mr. Speaker, me the kuku now.
Minta Oni, Mr. Speaker, on this day as we celebrate Mother Tongue Day, in Mambini or Dade Kotopon, ke Greater Accra Fen, me Kwame Fire ke wo fen ke fe wo wiega. E fen he hu no je. We are in Greater Accra, so I'll speak Ghana. E fen he no je hu ye Ghana. Ke akan yo jibojio, fanten yo jibojio, e wan yo jibojio, oje not ejio, ko obile awie o manwie mo. So
Emrase bejan chiame. Anopai me dawase. So mama kwenya na me kire madwen ewo sa ekwen se Ghana fo nkwala ebeka twi ebeka na brofo kasa mu nso no obi antimi sisi wo mo ombetimi akakasa no fefe me dawase
sama o nja o mbo o benyumedusu
ama fama ba fe kamba dina fe na nya mbere na boanzama de kekrebe kwasu Ghana no na menimo fanko wi fa buka so etienika wo kerba uba ameshi anufa ne na shi kwankwama ne na shi bimo ba ne na shi Hausa mama yaka nasara sanga kare nasara ni kia kwa shion. So ndamashi, thank you so much.
Well, I want to say, the Chrome I have one Southwest for Yansu Yabeka Bray Bedru Abu Bia Ebe Rem Ewo Riasia Fenena Onyame Onshiraye.
So, Honorable
Mr. Speaker, Mbo Nsorozan Wabe Farafara. Mbo Kaikwe Nof Dumazan Wabe Farafara. Mbo Fafa Dumazan Wabe Farafara. Fafariye Tole to party to Komala Zamhe. To Zamhe Fafare. To party Baba Oya to Minonti Koma Babure. Osaka Palba Bayetogo Bakamina Bayeze. To wait.
Minianum Ndanyamia sisende dedue manya kwenya meka bono ewo Ghana Parliament ma bono fo nyina be temenka so rehie da bibai low ranger ya bompa ese nsese abe yese ye nyina ya de bono kasa ebe sua de ye de aka ne Bible ne ye de aye niema wo yeskun abusuafo ho wo bono mani ma ho wo sika ho wo afade a betima aboa bi ye amfa ne ntoboa ne nimde na ye nhwe se ye kasa no ye ne beje ho ye de adijuma ama Ghana fo nyina ho se ampa ye so ye wo kasa bi.
As I listen to the debate of honorable members, I'm sure Mr. Speaker is not out of reach that one of these days you have to declare on the floor of this house a local language day, and every member of parliament must be compelled to speak and debate in his own mother language as part of our collective quest to encourage the use of local language. Mr. Speaker, the second is to appreciate that in Ghana there is no policy shift. Policy mandates the use of local language as a medium of instruction from kindergarten to primary 3 before transition to English. The policy remains the same, but Mr. Speaker, there are difficulties. Apart from the Akan language, Ewe, Gaga, Dangbe, Gonja, Kasim, Dagari, and Dagbani, for many of the languages, there are only reading materials at the early grade. What the country needs is for our intellectuals to develop textbooks in local languages for its use in our basic education institutions. All the Ghanaian languages in Ghana have no textbooks. So if you say you want to encourage the teaching of a Ghanaian language, how are you going to do it? So, Mr. Speaker, we will as government be reviewing the curricula from pre-basic school to primary 6, and we will inculcate in it. I just recently announced that even the teaching of ethics and integrity, so that young people grow to know that they have a responsibility to their country, they must grow to be responsible citizens, they must grow to love their country. We are discussing how ethics and integrity will become an essential part of the training of young people. But Mr. Speaker, the problem we have at the Ministry of Education, and particularly Ghana Education Service, is the lack of Ghanaian language textbooks. We should encourage persons in academia to want to write in those languages. Mr. Speaker, let me conclude with my broken tree. When I was Minister for Labor and Employment, there was a day Mochremen said that they were going to go on strike. So I went to the Kwalebu Mochre to engage. Both doctors were in strike. So Miko Drew Ho, I'll speak to you and I'll end in Dagbani. Miko Drew Honu. No more dreams say minti tree and now mukasa minti ase omusi wo haruna obetime obrem ha munkotie muntie yie na wo haruna obetime obrem ayaresabia see government Ebola body I carry, AIDS body I carry, look at my pay. Pure. As we got to it, Emochirima was sharing with me his plight as a Ghanaian worker. He said, Haruna, Ebola body I carry, AIDS body I carry. Look at my pay. It is not good enough. You work for government. Go and tell your government to pay as well. Little did he know that I could understand the particular language in which he was doing. Then in some other by-election, I saw some of our own colleagues speaking Twi and Ewe. They didn't know that my aide spoke fluent Ewe. But that one, I won't dare. Apart from Yahweh, so I can't risk anything again, Mr. Speaker. Also, Mr. Speaker, we should encourage the teaching of local languages. The socialization of a child is a shared responsibility between the parent and the teacher. So, Mr. Speaker, you can imagine a mother and a father. If you say the child should go and learn English, assuming the mother is illiterate, the father is illiterate, how is he going to begin learning English in school? Basic. So fundamental is that both teacher and parent need to work together for the upbringing of the child. And it necessarily must begin with the local language. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank him for bringing this UNESCO Day.
Yes, let me give the opportunity to the former Minister for Education, Honorable Dr. Yao Educhum.
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. I rise to add my voice to the statement made ably by our two colleagues regarding the International Day commemorating the mother tongue. Mr. Speaker, as a former Minister for Education, I am deeply aware of this issue, the opportunities it represents, and the challenges we face as a nation. Mr. Speaker, as a member of Parliament, when I go to my villages, nobody is complaining about the fact that their children cannot speak their language. When I visit Bonkoko in Bosomchi constituency, no concern. On the other hand, when you meet colleagues and you visit the homes of colleagues, you attempt to say a children, that is when you realize you have a challenge. Because the child will look at you and have no clue of what you are talking about. No parent who doesn't want their children to speak their language. But we have a challenge in this country. The lack of policy on second language acquisition, English language acquisition, then triggers this rush of parents sending their children to schools where they will only speak English. Sending their children to private schools where the language of instruction will be English, because the mark of success of a student is measured by how well and eloquent they are in the English. That parent, they are making investment in the future of their children. The language of instruction, if it's in English, is what they think will accelerate them and make their children do well academically. Mr. Speaker, when you go to countries like the United States of America, there's a policy that regulates English language acquisition for students who come from homes where the English is not a primary language. Students are assessed annually to see if they are proficient in the English language. So parents feel comfortable speaking to their children in their mother tongue, knowing that their children are not going to be shortchanged in the education system. But if you look at what is going on here, at the Ministry of Education, where we have encouraged the use of the mother tongue and actually the official policy, what we realized was that the children cannot do fractions by primary 3 because there was not enough vocabulary in their local languages to teach fractions. But if they were in a private school, primary 3, they will be able to do fractions. We have children who are walking into high schools where they don't speak any Ghanaian language, and they are Ghanaian children. We have students graduating from universities, they're going to practice as medical doctors, and they cannot speak a Ghanaian language to be able to have a conversation with a patient who cannot speak English. So in our middle class homes, there's a challenge. And unless we have an English language acquisition policy in our schools that can assure the parents that irrespective of the fact that your children is being taught in your local language, you can still master English. So there's no cause for your child's future will not be at risk, given what the speaker has spoke about. The two speakers eloquently stated the benefits of knowing a second language. The brain's development is enhanced. A number of benefits come when you can speak two languages. So, Mr. Speaker, as we commemorate this day and as we look for the way forward, I think our education system should look at English language acquisition policy where parents your mother tongue up to that they will still master the English language and they will not be left behind. When that assurance is given and we have a well thought out policy for English language acquisition, then parents are going to be convinced that speaking their language, talking to their children in Ga, in Chi, is not something that will make them fall behind. Emrasebejen Chiame, Anope Medawase, so Mama Kwenya, Namiche Madrin, Ewo, Sa Ekwen, Se Ghana for Nkwala, Ebeke Chi, Ebeya, Na Brofukasa Monsono, Obi and Minsisi Womo, Ombetimia Kakasano, Fefe Medawase.
Chairpani.
Thank you. Rise to add my voice to the statement. Mr. Speaker, the problem with our, the reason why people are shying away from speaking the local language is because people in Africa and that of Ghana, we are mostly have the perception that somebody accurately speaking the English language is a measure of intelligence, which is not the case. People think because of inferiority complex and they believe that once the child grows up and pick up and able to speak the language, the English, grammatically correct, that child is going to be a smart and intelligent child. In Ghana today, you go to schools and in the classroom when children are speaking the local language, the teacher tends to discipline that child, saying it is a vernacular. It's not allowed. Only English here. These are the things that discourage our children from learning our mother tongue. We must do away with this kind of training from our homes, from our schools, and even in this chamber. When you interact with your colleagues and you try to learn he or her language, if you make a slight mistake, they tend to mock at you. But if you speak the English, the German, or French, you are considered as a very smart person. That is not acceptable at all. We must show that Africa and Ghana, we have our own language before the migration of the German, the French, the English to Africa. We might hold strongly to our dear language. You go to some families' homes, like the former Minister of Education said, when you greet them in their own language, they respond in English. When you try to interact with the kids in their own language, they respond in English. Meanwhile, the mother, the dad, they are from the same tribe or they speak the same language, but they don't speak the Ghanaian language to the children because they want to make sure that the children go out and speak the big grammar, so that they know that my child is attending this school or that school. So, Mr. Speaker, we must do well as Ghanaians, we must do well as Africans to ensure that our mother tongue, I speak Chekosi. I'm here today to represent the good people of Tripoli, and I really appreciate them for giving me the mandate to represent them here. And I want to stand here to say, Mbisama o, Nja o, Mbwa o. Benyimedusu, ama fama bafe kamba dina fena nyambere ne abwanzama. Dike kerebe kwasu Ghana nuna minimo fanko wina fabukasu. Etienika, wo kerba uba, ameshi anufanye ni. Neshi pankomanye, neshi bimobanye, neshi Hausa. Mama yaka nasara sanga kere. Nasara ni kia kweshion. So ndamashi, thank you so much.
Honorable member, whatever you say, just say it in English for the Hansa to be able to capture.
Okay, just to summarize, what I said is that I appreciate the good people of Tripoli for giving me the mandate to represent them. I also entreated them to teach our kids the local language, which is Anufo, the Konkomba language, the Bimoba, the Hausa language, the Fulani language. These are the language, the indigenous language in my constituency. So I entreat them to let the kids learn that language. That is the mother tongue. That is who we are. We are not Europeans. We are not Germans. We are not Americans. We are Ghanaians. We must learn our language.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm looking at those who have not spoken. Yes, let me give it to our Southwest. Honorable Dapa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Then again, I commend the makers of this statement. In fact, we being Ghanaians, we've taken it in such a way that there is a prestige attached to speaking of English, Dutch, and many languages overseas. And here is the case. To me, it's neither here nor there. So I may encourage, especially all languages over 46 or so, that we should embark on it, so at least wherever we stand, we can express ourselves in our local languages. And then based on Order 93, I won't talk for long. Well, I want to say, Mikrom, I have one Southwest for Yansu Yabeka Bray Bedru Abu Bia Eberem, Eworia Fanena, Onyame Onshiraye.
So, honorable member, just to allow the Hansa to capture what you just said, just briefly state that one in English.
I have one Mikrom, I have one Southwest. Okay. I was just trying to greet the good people of Afwano Southwest constituency. Just to encourage them to speak the tree wherever they go. Even in America, Germany, France, wherever they found themselves, they should express the tree language.
Thank you very much. I believe a lot of people are desirous. Let me give it to North. Or can I quit North?
I will. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Let me add my voice to thank the maker of the statement and add that it's important that we teach our children how to speak the Ghanaian language first. Mr. Speaker, sometimes when you go to our schools, our kids are being forced to learn other local languages that they do not understand. I would want to encourage that in every region, the first language of the region should be compulsory for all the students to learn. Then if you want to learn any additional language, you can also add that to the curriculum, or you add that for the choice of the students to take up. I was born in Greater Accra region. If I was born in America, I would have said I'm an American citizen. But I was born in Greater Accra. My mother gave birth to 9 of us, of which I'm the 7th born. All of us were taught to speak our local dialects. I remember those times, my elder brother, who was frequently speaking Ga in the house. Each time my father was coming from the office, my father used to work with the University of Ghana. They'll turn around and say, Numbu Mbaye. To which the old man is coming, it means we need to switch from Ga to our native language. My father got angry one day and then carried all of us to the north. And learn our local dialect. And today I can frequently speak my dialect. I can frequently speak Ga, which is my first native language that I learned. So wait, I speak good Ga because I was born in Greater Accra. But I did not stop at that. I also went further to learn the Frafra language. I come from Bolgatanga in the Upper East region. And so I speak Frafra a lot. It is discouraging for people who are supposed to know better. We sometimes sit on the airwaves and cast insinuations. Recently, our former information minister was heard on radio saying, MPs on this side cannot speak in parliament because we cannot express ourselves in the English language. This is an information minister. This is somebody who was our information minister. She is my very good friend, and her statements were unfortunate. We should be the ones out there to chart the path for everybody to follow. When you go to places like Germany, even if they speak English, they'll force you to learn their language. People say they are racism. I think that it is the way to go. Anna, you are a Ghanaian. You are from Bolga, you are from Greater Accra. Students in Greater Accra are being forced to learn. And I think it's something we should all plead on. Before I take my seat, Mr. Speaker, Mbo nsoro wa be farafara. Mbo kaikwe no fuduma wa be farafara. Mbo fafaduma wa be farafara. Fafariye tole to party to komala zamhe. To zamhe fafare. To party baba. To me long to come babure osaka palwa bayeto bakamina bayeze. So wait, Mr. Speaker, let's teach some members of parliament speak English with their children in the house. Sabi ba ma agbebopo ameleno no rio. Somebody will come and say, let's go and I'll go and cut off your head. They don't know what you are saying. And so please, I would like to thank the maker of the statement. Let's not just speak on the floor of Parliament. Let's take it out to our constituency and practices. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, I said 2-2, but I think I've gone beyond that. I'm taking last one, and it's going to be very brief. No, Doctor, you are speaking. Let me give it to Colonel Damoa. But please be brief.
Right Honourable Speaker, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to also add my voice to the celebration of the Mother Language Day. I also want to commend the two makers of that statement to which we are making contributions. Mr. Speaker, I'm a Bono. My local dialect is Bono. And I'm happy to announce to this House that just last Tuesday, 18 February 2025, we have a Bono Man Institute, and attempts are being made to document and make it possible for pupils and students in Bono region to have Bono language as one of the languages used for exams and used for all purposes. They are trying to have Bono Bibles so that we can read in the Bono language. Now, the meeting at Sunyane last Tuesday had the theme Language, Our Heritage and Way of Life. And the project entailed documentation, preservation, promotion, writing, and the use of the Bono language, as well as its adoption as a local language in the curriculum for schools in the Bono region. Now, very important dignitaries attended this project, and among them was the President of the Bishops' Conference of Ghana, the Vice President of the Bono Regional House of Chiefs, representatives from the Bureau of Ghana Languages, the Bible Society of Ghana, and corporate organizations. And also, we had reps from the Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Education. Our expectation is that the Bono language, even though it's similar to some other Akan languages, will have its distinct recognition and will be used by pupils and students in Bono region. We've gone.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, as you allowed others to speak in their local dialect, the people of Bono, since I'm the Lone Ranger for MPP in Bono, we want to hear me speak Bono in this house. That is also one unfortunate thing. The be in Bono means they as a pronoun. So if you are not saying they, just as you cannot say I sees in English, you cannot say be when you mean one person, the singular. Be is plural, meaning they. So be is not only Bonos who speak be. Along the western frontier, we have the Nzemas, we have the Ayins, all of us we speak be, meaning they. Manya kwenya meka Bono ewo Ghana Parliament. Ma Bono fo nyina be temenka so you hear the be. Low Ranger. Yeah, bompa say. Nsese abe ye say ye nyina ye de Bono kasa ebe sua de ye de aka ne Bible na ye de aye niema wo ye school abusuafo ho wo Bono mani ma ho wo sika ho wo afade a ho betima aboa bi ye amfa ne ntoboa ne nimde na ye nhwe se ye kasa no ye ne beje ho ye de adijuma ama Ghana fo nyina ho se ampa ye so ye wo kasa bi. To which I'm appealing to all Bonos to be happy about the fact that now we are making deliberate conscious effort to have the Bono language recognized, documented, written, and used for all purposes in schools in Bono region, and then to also have the Bible written in the Bono language. Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The International Mother Language Day. He set the pace, and I'm very happy about that. Mr. Speaker, the Universal Declaration on Cultural Diversity states that cultural diversity is as necessary for humankind as the biodiversity for nature. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to make the statement on the floor of the House today, 21st February 2024. It marks the occasion of the International Mother Language Day celebrated globally. This year marks the silver jubilee of this observance, a significant moment that highlights the importance of linguistic diversity and the global commitment to preserving mother tongues as essential elements of cultural heritage and identity. Ghana, as a multilingual nation, is home to over 80 languages spoken across various regions. These indigenous languages are not just means of communication, but also carriers of our collective history, traditions, and cultural values. Unfortunately, many of our native languages are at urbanization, globalization, and limited use of formal education and public life. About 40% of the world's population lacks access to education in a language they understand, and Ghana is not exempt from this reality. The gradual erosion of our local languages threatens the very fabric of our identity and the intergenerational transmission of indigenous knowledge systems. Mr. Speaker, I wish to commend this House for its progressive discussions on the promotion of Ghanaian languages, particularly the landmark decision announced on the 15th of February 2024 prior to the former Second Deputy Minority Leader, Honorable Emmanuel Amakufebua's statement to integrate local languages into parliamentary proceedings in accordance with Order 63 of the Standing Orders. This initiative, which includes provisions for interpretation and translation services, is a bold and commendable step towards mainstreaming our indigenous languages in national discourse. It fosters inclusivity and ensures that parliamentary deliberations truly reflect the linguistic diversity of our nation. However, Mr. Speaker, while this decision was a remarkable achievement, its implementation has been slow. We must move beyond commitment and take concrete actions to ensure that our vision of a linguistically inclusive parliament becomes a reality. I urge the House to accelerate efforts in providing the necessary resources and infrastructure to make this initiative fully operational. Further, I applaud former Second Deputy Minority Leader, Honorable Amakufebua, for his advocacy on the preservation of the Nzema language and his call for greater emphasis on teaching and learning local languages at all levels of education. His statement on this floor last year spurred constructive conversations on integrating local languages into basic education to improve comprehension and foster cultural pride. Studies have shown that children who have instructions in their mother tongue during early education develop better cognitive skills, stronger literacy foundations, and a deeper connection to their heritage. Mr. Speaker, as a Member of Parliament representing the vibrant people of Ketu South, wherever is the predominant language, I am deeply committed to advocating for its preservation and growth, alongside other indigenous languages in Ghana.
The Bureau of Ghana Languages has taken commendable steps in publishing educational materials in 11 local languages, including Ewe. However, these efforts must be reinforced with tangible policy interventions, such as increasing the number of trained teachers proficient in local languages, equipping schools with the necessary teaching and learning materials, and ensuring the systematic integration of indigenous languages into the formal education curriculum. I therefore call on the Minister of Education and the Ghana Education Service to take concrete steps towards the implementation of recommendations made by this House, particularly the adoption of local languages as mediums of instruction at the basic education level. Adequate financial and logistical support must be provided to sustain this initiative, ensuring that our language policies are not merely symbolic, but yield practical outcomes in education and societal development. Mr. Speaker, this year's theme, Languages Matter, Silver Jubilee celebration of International Mother Language Day, is a timely reminder that our mother tongues are not just tools of communication, but reservoirs of knowledge, history, and cultural heritage. As we celebrate this day, let us reaffirm our commitment to linguistic diversity and make deliberate efforts to safeguard our indigenous languages for future generations. By doing so, we preserve not only our words, but also the stories, wisdom, and identities that define us as a people. Mr. Speaker, Nelson Mandela said, if you talk to a man in a language he understands, it goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. Mr. Speaker, Ngugi wa Thiong'o also said that language is not just a means of communication. It is a carrier of culture, a reflection of the history and experiences of a people. Finally, Mr. Speaker, Maya Angelou also said, language is the blood of the soul, into which thoughts run and out of which they grow. Let us cherish and preserve our Ghanaian languages, for they are the essence of our humanity. Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Let me, at this juncture, also invite Honorable Frank Yeboah, a member for Achoma Wabiaja North, to read similar statement on Mother Language Day. Yes, Honorable Member, you have the floor now.
Thank you. Right, Honorable Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to contribute to this important discussion on the occasion of the International Mother Language Day. This day, observed globally on February 21st, serves as a reminder of the urgent need to preserve and promote linguistic diversity. In Ghana, where we are blessed with over 80 indigenous languages, this occasion presents an opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to safeguarding our linguistic heritage for future generations. Mr. Speaker, language is not merely a tool for communication. It is the foundation of culture, identity, and historical continuity. Our indigenous languages carry the wisdom, traditions, and world views of our ancestors, shaping understanding of ourselves and our communities. 3, many of these languages are under threat of extinction and the increasing dominance of English language in education and media. Right Honorable Speaker, according to UNESCO's Atlas of the World's Languages in Danger 2021, Ghanaian languages are classified as endangered, with a declining number of native speakers. Many young Ghanaians today struggle to communicate fluently in their mother tongues due to lack of formal education in preference for English language in social and professional settings. This trend could result in the extinction of some of our rich languages, frequent shifts over the years. The current policy mandate, its implementation has been inconsistent, partly due to the limited availability of learning materials and trained teachers proficient enough in indigenous languages. Right Honorable Speaker, the Bureau of Ghana Languages, BGL, established in 1951, has played a pivotal role in promoting and preserving Ghanaian languages through publications, translations. However, the Bureau faces significant challenges, including understanding, inadequate and lack of modern technological resources. If we, as representatives of the people, are serious about preserving our indigenous languages, these institutions must be adequately resourced to fulfill its. Beyond government efforts, the role of community engagement, digital technology, and media cannot be overlooked. Promoting indigenous languages on radio, television, and social media platforms can help sustain their relevance among young people. Additionally, initiatives such as oral history documentation, digital dictionaries, and language learning applications must be encouraged to bridge the intergenerational linguistic gap. Right Honorable Speaker, I urge this House to support the government to, 1, strengthen the Bureau of Ghana Languages by increasing funding and technical support for its language development programs. Number 2, ensure full implementation of the language and education policy by investing in teaching materials and training teachers in indigenous languages. Number 3, encourage the integration of indigenous languages in technology and media, ensuring they remain relevant in the digital age. 4, promote community-led language preservation programs, including storytelling, oral history documentation, and intergenerational language transition initiatives. Right Honorable Speaker, we cannot afford to lose our indigenous languages, for in them lies the heart and soul of our identity as Ghanaians. Let us act now to protect and promote them, ensuring that future generations inherit not just the words, but the history, values, and wisdom they carry. Right Honorable Speaker, I thank you once again for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, we have 3 other statements, so indulge me to restrict the number of comments that we will be having on this. So we are going to have 2 from each side, and if possible, I may even decline the leadership. Let's start with you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me begin by commending the 2 makers of this statement in commemorating today's celebration of Mother Tongue. And particularly, I'm also happy that our Minister in charge of Tourism and Arts of Culture was also herself here to make this statement. Mr. Speaker, some of us have been promoters of our culture and tradition. And language is one of the first ambassadors that shows where you come from and who you are. Mr. Speaker, it is exciting to know that your mother language is written and spoken. And I come from Okri, who believes that we are one of the early settlers in Ghana. However, our language has never been written. And so it was exciting for me when the Bible Society of Ghana decided that they want to translate the language of Okre, translate the Bible into the language of Okre. And early this year, the first chapter of Mark was read. And you could tell the excitement and the understanding. Very young peoples were made to read the Bible in the Okre language. And so I add my voice to the call for especially this house as a representative of the people to take immediate action. Mr. Speaker, I believe that you would guide us so that at least to show commitment to the fact that we want to promote our mother language and to be proud as a people of Ghanaian speaking our own language, at least we should be able to work towards a roadmap that by end of this year, we should be able to have an agreement of some of our local languages that will be acceptable in this house so that we can express ourselves better. And our constituents who will also be listening to us and watching us on the screen can also appreciate some of the contributions that we make. It is funny, Mr. Speaker, you go on social media and people tend to make fun of some of us that because of English, we are quiet in the chamber. Why should we be bothered that somebody cannot express him or herself in somebody's language? But this is what we have bedeviled ourselves with as a country. And so I am very excited that these statements have been made. And we as a people of Ghanaians should be proud to speak our language. Mr. Speaker, somebody just travels 1 year, 2 years outside, comes back to Ghana and wants to put a donation to his own mother language. And in spite of some sense of inferiority complex, Mr. Speaker, we were here and we were communicating very well in our local language before we had Europeans and other foreigners visiting us. And so I am very excited, and that is why I want to add my voice to this. And Mr. Speaker, I'll end by reiterating the point that we should take some immediate actions and have a roadmap so that Order 63 can be looked at and some adoption of some languages that cut across all the sections and length and breadth of the country be adopted in this house so that other people can frequently express themselves and demonstrate that we are proud in our own language. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you so much. Yes, let me give it to Dade Kotopo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. I want to commend the makers of the statements on the International Mother Language Day. Mr. Speaker, it's exciting to note that we have a number of languages in our country, Ghana, but disheartening to note that most of these languages are not well taught. When you come to the Greater Accra region, it's predominantly the Ghana language that is spoken. But most of the time, in our schools in the region, the Ghana language is not taught, and Akan is rather taught. And it is our desire that when teachers are trained in the Ghana language, they should be posted to schools in the Greater Accra region. But most of the time, it happens that when these teachers are trained in the Ghana languages, the Ministry of Education, and this I'm calling on the minister to support us in this direction. Most of them are posted to other areas to teach other subjects instead of the Ghana language. Mr. Speaker, most parents and grandparents do not speak their mother tongue or mother languages with their children and their grandchildren. They tend to speak the English language. But I believe when children are brought up in their mother languages, it helps them to put together the structure of even the English language. And so I want to encourage parents and mothers out there to ensure that they speak their mother tongues with our children and our grandchildren. And I'm sure most of us here in the chamber are found wanting or will be found wanting in this direction. where when you go to homes, a parent can tell you that my child does not understand my local language, but instead understands only the English language. As we celebrate the International Mother Tongue Day, I want to urge all of us that wherever you come from, speak your language with your child or your grandchildren. As a woman from the Dadekotopon constituency in the Greater Accra region, I wish to urge my Ga people to ensure that we don't lose out on the Ga language, but we should make sure that we teach our children and our grandchildren the Ga language so that when it comes to where we have to speak the Ga language, we will not be found wanting. And any other language, whichever region you are coming from, whichever town you are coming from, please let us ensure that we will speak our languages with our children and learn even other languages from Ghana. Mr. Speaker, I wish to thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, on this day as we celebrate Mother Tongue Day, in Mambini or Dadekotopon, ke Greater Accra fen, me panye fa ke wo fen ke fe wo wiega. E fen he hu no je. E fen no je. We are in Greater Accra, so I'll speak Ghana. E fen no je hu ye Ghana. Ke akan yo jibojio, fanten yo jibojio, e wan yo jibojio, o je not ejio, ko obile awie o manwie mo. To wait that wherever you are coming from, speak your mother tongue with your children and your grandchildren. Thank you so much. No more act on your fan.
Yes. Yenchre ye kasa. Yenka na nyefe. Obi echini ontumi nchrochi. Obi angonani ontumi nchurangona. Obi enfantini ontumi nchomfante. Obi awasani ontumi nchro wasakasa. Enti medie Ohene Kwame Frimpong misheni kotum ni waye na emefe emede na mijidi se empanifuo behye kina empanifuo beyire emra na mu empanifuo bebo modern se yede ewe kasa fante kasa kwapem kasa ebebe schools mu na tumi aboa eno beboa ma Ghana yetumi apagya ye honhom a ye nananom ede chichire o man ne to ho ma me hu adwenkyere aha eye Mosbee TV GH GK oben heba se begya mama ya duro na betumi aboa wo ema usisi mu etumi eye free makraw bye bye.